Hey everyone, Ronan here, and welcome back to the channel. We got a lot of things to cover in this part today, but before we get into that, Luis Cervantes, thank you very much for your support. And also, everyone, analytics are very important, so please take a look at these numbers down below, and don't forget to drop a like and a comment to help fuel the algorithm for the video. And if this is your first time here, please subscribe and turn on notifications so that way you'll never miss another upload. And if you want to consider supporting us even further, please don't forget to become a YouTube channel member or a patron. You get exclusive access to content that I don't place here on YouTube and early access to everything that I do. But with all that being said, let's get into What If Ash Won the Hoenn League, Part 18. I hope you enjoy. We begin today's part as our heroes arrive back in the city of Slateport. The reason they are here is simple. The Grand Festival is in 7 days' time, so both Ash and May need to get ready. However, there is another reason that Ash is here this early. As they arrive on the edge of Slateport, Ash looks out over the city with Pikachu on his shoulder. With a smile, Ash takes off, with May, Brock, and Max all in tow. May's younger brother has found a new purpose, as after what happened in the Petalburg gym, Max pleaded with his parents to let him go, with May and the others. He had been there the whole journey, and he needed to finish it with them. While Norman was hesitant, it was May and Ash that convinced him to let the boy tag along, on the single condition that Max would no longer be a problem. With Max agreeing and May convincing her dad one final time, the four set off with urgency to get to Slateport. It's here that we find ourselves in the Pokemon Center, where Ash makes a call to Professor Oak as the boy is looking to change out a few team members so that way they can get started. These will be some of the Pokemon that he uses in the battle with Tyson and in the Grand Festival. Ash has had 2 weeks to think about this since they took the land route to get back to the city. However, the boy is confident in his decision and looks forward to what's to come. This is where Brock requests that Ash and May join him and Max. He has something that he needs to discuss with them. Both Ash and May wonder what's up, but follow Brock to the dining area. The two join Max at a table as Brock pulls out a box that he's been carrying around for the last year. The breeder goes on to explain that while May and Ash have been competing in gym battles and contests, he and Max have been working on the background on a Pokeblock. But not just any Pokeblock, one that will help their Pokemon reach a new level of abilities. May questions this, stating that they have been using Pokeblock over the past year, so what would make this so special? Brock then explains about the trial and error that has happened with his Pokemon. When Torkoal got sick, that was the result of the block not being prepared with the correct ingredients. But when he got lost on that island, Brock found what he was missing. So over the last couple of months, he's been perfecting the formula with the help of Max. They continue to listen while Brock explains the purpose of the block. You see, I was treating this all wrong. A regular Pokemon can be used to highlight certain aspects of a Pokemon more than another, but the Master Block foregoes that in order to heighten all of them. In simple terms, what's ordinary will become good, and what's good will become extraordinary. Ashton asks Brock how he knows that this will do what he says. The breeder responds that it's because he tailored each batch for each Pokemon that they have on their teams. He has spent a long time gathering the berries needed to get each one just right. Brock then opens the box to reveal individual bags with the names of all the Pokemon on them. Each bag contains 6 Pokeblocks, and he hands them over to Ash and May. The breeder says that these blocks are potent, so they can only feed them one a day, so that way their Pokemon have a chance to react to the effects that are going to be changing within them. If not, then it could make whoever eats it sick, and they will have to have their system flushed by Nurse Joy. Of course, it's up to you if you want to use them, but the reason I developed them was to give you guys an edge on the competition, because I plan to publish a paper on the positive effects of Pokeblock with all the research that I've learned over the last year. I've noticed that Pokeblock isn't something that is well known outside of the Hoenn region, so I want to change that to help people and Pokemon grow closer together. May is excited as she thanks Brock for this gift. She plans to put it to use right away, so her Pokemon will be ready for the festival. However, Ash is a little hesitant, as he isn't sure if he's okay with something that could give him an unfair advantage in battle. Brock tells his friend that he will have to be the one to make that choice to use it. He knows that it will work, but he thought it would be something that Ash would possibly reject. Our hero prepares to answer Brock, but they are interrupted by a familiar voice that causes Ash to turn. There stands Tyson. "Ash, I've been waiting for you," the boy says. Smiling, Ash seemingly forgets about the Pokeblock for the moment and leaves it on the table as he stands up to ask if Tyson is ready for their battle. The brown-haired boy says that is the reason why he's here. He's been coming to the Pokemon Center once a day for the last week looking for Ash. His team is more than ready. The only question is if Ash and his Pokemon are ready. Smiling, Ash and Pikachu look at Tyson, telling the boy that they've been waiting for this ever since he won his final badge. Well then, Ash, let's get started. So that way we can see who is more prepared for the Hoenn League. The two boys then head outside as Brock picks up the block and puts it in his box for now. May, Max, and the breeder then head outside to watch Ash's battle with Tyson as they're all curious about who is going to be truly ready for the league. Outside, Ash and Tyson have taken their places on the battlefield behind the Pokemon Center. Tyson states that the last time they battled, Ash and his Pokemon seemed like they were going through a lot, so he hopes that this time Ash can show him what he's really made of. Smiling, Ash pulls out a Pokeball and says there is only one way to find out, declaring, "Grumpig, I choose you." The swine pops from the ball with its happy bounce. Tyson finds this choice interesting and wants to test the abilities of the swine, so he sends in a Pokemon that Ash hasn't seen since their first battle, the flying type, Swallow. As the bird emerges from the ball, it seems confident in its abilities to win, as it eyes Grumpig from the sky. Brock declares that he will be the referee and calls for the battle to start. Wasting no time, Tyson makes the first move, calling for an aerial ace. Ash remembers this from the battle with Winona, so the boy calls for a swift to counter. While this doesn't stop the speed of Swallow, it does mitigate the damage as the bird is forced to take the attack in order to land its own. However, Tyson won't let this slide, calling for a quick attack. This time, the bird is too fast for a Grumpig, and it takes the damage before it can counter, leaving it in an awkward situation. But Ash has a quick solution for this, as he calls for a Psy Wave. Tyson tells Swallow to climb higher and higher to avoid the attack. This works, giving it a lot of height as Tyson orders it to close this battle out with a Steel Wing. The bird dives, gathering any speed that it can while charging its wings with the metal energy. However, Ash was hoping for a head-on attack, as he tells Grumpig to be patient. Their time will come. The swine simply bounces in place, preparing for the moment when Swallow appears just before it, and Ash orders a Confuse Ray that causes the bird's vision to blur, and it misses the target by smashing headfirst into the ground from its dive. The force of this was so great that Swallow knocked itself out, giving Ash the first win. Tyson is a little puzzled at what just happened, but quickly realized why Ash waited. The Confuse Ray hit before Swallow fully pulled up, causing it to lose its focus and crash. Smart move, Ash. You knew Grumpig would track the movement of Swallow, so you used that to your advantage, Tyson says as he recalls his bird. Ash recalls Grumpig, stating that he knew he couldn't win on speed and power, so they just had to use their momentum to close the gap. Smiling, Tyson states that this is the battle he was hoping for, so let's keep things going. Hariyama, go! Sumomon pops from the ball with a thud to show the power it brings to this battle. Ash remembers this thing from their last battle. Vigoroth barely beat it, so the boy is going to have to up the power he brings, as he declares, "Flygon, I choose you." As the dragon emerges, the second battle gets underway, with Tyson landing the first move in a fake out. This was something that caught Ash and Flygon off guard, as they didn't expect Hariyama to move so fast. Tyson quickly uses this to his advantage, calling for an arm thrust that allows Hariyama to use its closeness of the two mons to its advantage and deliver multiple blows to Flygon's chest. Wanting to keep this pace up, Tyson yells that it's going to try and fly away, so they need to keep Flygon grounded, so keep up the pressure. However, Ash is on the opposite line of thinking as he tells Flygon to use a Dragon Burst. The dragon does so, confusing Tyson as he's never heard of a move like that before. But this isn't the only problem, as the stunned Hariyama leaves an opening for Flygon to use Dig. This puts it underground, safe from any attacks from above, although Tyson doesn't see it that way, calling for a cross chop to shatter the battlefield. But Ash is one step ahead as he knew Hariyama's weight would be its greatest weakness. It's here that Ash calls for a Sand Tomb. Suddenly, the ground softens right where Hariyama lands, causing it to sink into the ground head first, trapping it in place. Tyson yells for Hariyama to use its arm thrust to escape, but it can't move and is left wide open to a Dragon Burst from underneath the battlefield that causes it to shake a little bit before the fighting type goes limp and Flygon is declared the winner. As he recalls Hariyama, Tyson is beginning to feel the pressure, as this is a side of Ash that he has never seen before. The boy is wondering if he can actually take home this win. Well, there's only going to be one way to find out, as he calls on his Puss in Boots, Meowth, to take the battlefield. Wanting to preserve Flygon for later, Ash recalls it and tells Pikachu to jump in. The mouse does so, feeling confident that it will keep the sweep going. However, Tyson hasn't lost his gusto, calling for a Thunderbolt to test Pikachu, but Ash isn't going to let this go unanswered, calling for one of his own. The two stalemate, then counter with an Iron Tail that is also the same result. Both appear to be dead even, but Ash calls for a quick attack that is able to give his mouse a slight edge. Seeing that he needs to turn up the heat, Tyson calls for a double team slash combo. With attacks coming from all sides, Ash pulls out all the stops, calling for a Thunder. Pikachu lets loose with everything it has, striking down all of the fake copies until it catches Meowth. While this looks like it could be a knockout, something comes into play here. The boots the feline wears allows it to ground itself and play the endurance game with Pikachu. Then, for added effect, Tyson commands for it to use an Iron Tail to further ground the cat, allowing it to minimize the damage. Realizing they aren't making any progress, Ash orders Pikachu to break the attack and to follow up with an Iron Tail of its own. The mouse does so, but is slow to the draw with all of the electricity that it expended. This results in a fake out from a double team, then a slash from Meowth that Pikachu is unable to dodge. That strikes down the mouse and finally gives Tyson a win. While Ash is surprised by this, he's more worried about the mouse, quickly running out to collect Pikachu. The electric type has a look of apology on its face, but Ash tells it not to worry. This one was his fault for getting a little overconfident after winning the first two battles. Ash then asks May and Max to look after it so he can continue on. As Ash takes his position, a small crowd has started to form. Among them is a trainer that we haven't seen in a while, the stubborn redhead Morrison. The boy is actually quiet for once as he looks on, admiring the battle that he has stumbled onto. Now we pan back over to the battle itself. With things turning in his favor, Tyson aims to keep the ball rolling, calling for his Dawn fan. Wanting to keep as many of his team members as fresh as possible, Ash declares Grumpig, I choose you. The swine pops from its ball with the pep in its step that it has become known for. However, it's a little slower due to the battle with Swellow, and Tyson aims to take advantage of this. Ash wastes no time calling for a Swift. However, Tyson holds nothing back, calling for a Hyper Beam. Suddenly, a destructive energy surges through the area and disintegrates the Swift before striking Grumpig, sending it into a tree just behind Ash and knocking it out. This stuns Ash for a brief moment. Tyson isn't messing around. The two trainers recall their Pokemon as the knockouts are now even. The next one will have the momentum in their favor. Ash comments that Tyson seemed a little aggressive on that last one. However, the boy comments he needed to beat. Tyson saw an opening and took it. Well, don't think I'm going to allow that to continue, Ash says, declaring Flygon, I choose you. Knowing this dragon has something special about it with that Dragon Burst move, Tyson decides that he's going to need a little bit more power here, so he calls on his Metang for the next battle. Ash is a bit surprised by this Pokemon as it looks very similar to the Pokemon Steven used in LaRue City, but he puts that out of his mind for the moment as he takes the first move, calling for a Dragon's Breath. But Tyson is quick to counter with the Metal Claw. The Steel typing provides excellent defense to break the Dragonic Aura up in a flash with little damage to Metang. Tyson then calls for an Iron Defense to make sure it stays this way, but Ash is going to use this to his advantage, calling for a new move in the form of Crunch. But as the dragon bites down, a metallic sound can be heard, signaling that the damage was minimal. This leaves Flygon in a compromised position as it is met with a Metal Claw to the gut. Suddenly, Metang glows in a hue, signaling that it got some sort of stat boost. Knowing things are slipping away, Ash orders for Flygon to use a Dig. The dragon tunnels down, hiding from Metang, but this is of little use, as with the command of a Psychic, Metang is easily able to find Flygon and bring it to the surface. The dragon is squirming, trying to break the hold on it that Metang has. Ash calls for a Dragon Burst, but Tyson orders the Steel type to keep Flygon's wings from moving, as he has deduced that it is the source of its special move. This gives Metang an opening to land another Metal Claw to end this, giving Tyson the lead over Ash for the first time. Recalling his dragon, Ash thinks about this battle and how Metang was used. The boy knows that he needs something that can crack that defense, but the question is, who? All the while, Tyson is feeling pretty good about where he is. Now in the lead, and with all of the stat buffs Metang has, he's going to stick with it, so it can take out as many of Ash's Pokemon as possible. However, Ash has made his next choice, and it's going to be one that will give Tyson a very tough time. time. With the declaration of Milotic, I choose you. As the serpent pops from the ball, Tyson notices all of the scars on it. This thing has seen some serious battles. They are going to need to be careful if they want to win this, but Tyson isn't going to let this hold them back as he calls for another iron defense. However, Ash isn't going to just sit back, ordering a twister from the serpent. Matang is met with a cyclone of dragonic energy that causes a decent amount of damage. It seems that Milotic is strong, Tyson thinks, and he remembers Wallace's Milotic, thinking that if Ash faced it like this, then he may have picked up some things from it. So he needs to cause as much damage as possible before any type of recovery is used. So with this thought in his head, Tyson calls for a psychic to hit it for as much damage as possible. However, Ash was hoping for this, as he is quick to counter with a move called Mirror Coat. While Milotic is going to take a great deal of damage, everything will be sent right back at Matang double. This attack has enough force to knock it out, even though Matang had a resistance to the typing of it. Ash thinks to himself if that had been any other Pokemon, they wouldn't have been able to have the endurance to survive that. But Milotic, even though it took the damage, it still looks like it's ready to go. Recalling Matang, Tyson realizes that he made a great miscalculation. However, he's still in a place that this is something that he can recover from. He just needs to be careful. So with this in mind, he calls on Meowth once more. The feline pops from its ball, a bit worn out from the battle with Pikachu, but still ready to face any challenge. Tyson takes the first move, ordering a double team in an attempt to make this battle last as long as possible. However, Ash has the perfect counter in Twister that is able to catch each of the fake cats, while damaging Meowth in the process. However, it is still standing, and Tyson orders it to use a Slash Iron Tail combo, but Ash is quick to call for a Water Pulse to put a stop to this. However, this is what Tyson had it charge an Iron Tail for, as it's used to break apart the water, allowing Meowth to strike Milotic for what looks like a critical hit. However, the serpent won't let this go unchecked, with it coiling around the cat at the command of Ash. This puts Meowth in a very bad position, as the only thing it can do is use one attack. However, Tyson thinks it may be just enough as he orders a Thunderbolt. But this is when the boy is going to learn firsthand. Ash was one step ahead of him as he counters with a Mirror Coat. While the damage to Milotic is severe, leaving it with little health left, the Mirror Coat is amplified, leaving Meowth with no way to survive this strike. As Milotic uncoils, Meowth is left with spirals in its eyes, forcing Tyson to recall the cat. Looking over his options left, Tyson knows there's only one that he has, calling on his starter Pokemon Sceptile. Ash chooses to keep Milotic in, knowing that it's near the end, so he wants to cause as much damage as possible. This results in the battle starting with an Icy Wind for Milotic, but this is quickly countered by Sceptile with a Detect, allowing it to evade the attack and land a Leaf Blade to bring this short battle to an end. Ash recalls Milotic, thanking it for all of the effort that it put in. At least he knows some of what Sceptile can do now. However, Ash has a choice to make. He only has 2 Pokemon left with him, but he knows that one of them will be a better choice for the experience in battling. However, he really has been working with this other one the last couple of weeks to learn a new attack, so he's going to use it, declaring Snow Runt. I choose you. The Snow Hat pops from the ball with a brief chill, as happy as can be. Tyson is curious about this choice, but decides that he wants to conserve Sceptile, so he recalls it. Both he and Ash only have 2 Pokemon left, so he needs to be smart as he sends back in Donphan. Though it is at a type disadvantage, Tyson thinks that it may be able to last long enough to win this. Ash starts the battle with the Headbutt to get in close, but Donphan smacks Snorunt away with a Rapid Spin. Though smaller, the Snow Hat Mon won't back down as its tenacity kicks in and counters with an Icy Wind that is able to hit Donphan. But it's not enough to win, as Tyson is quick to counter with the Hyper Beam in an attempt to end this. Knowing this could be the end for Snorunt, Ash counters with a Double Team, allowing it to just barely avoid the dodge, giving it a free opening to counter with another Icy Wind, since Donphan has to recover from expending all of its energy. Knowing that things are quickly turning in Ash's favor, Tyson orders a Rollout to turn on the pressure, but Ash is quick to counter with another Double Team. This once again allows Snorunt to evade the attack, only taking a little damage in the process, but Tyson continues with a barrage of rollouts that is making it hard for Snorunt to keep up. Knowing they only have one real option here, Ash puts everything into the move that they have been working on, calling for an Ice Beam in an attempt to one-shot the ground type. However, Snowrunt is slow to gather the energy from the move, allowing the rollout, who is now on its third pass, to strike with full force, knocking out the ice type and bringing this battle to a close. This causes Ash to hang his head a bit, as he thought for sure they had it, but he guesses Snowrunt still needs some practice, he says, recalling them on. Tyson comments that he thought the battle was going to be over when Ash called for an ice beam, but it seems Snowrunt isn't quite ready for an attack of that power yet. Smiling, Ash tells him not to worry. They will eventually get it, but that will be later, as they have a battle that they need to finish. So let's make it a good one, Ash yells as he declares, "Sceptile, I choose you." The grass type emerges from its ball with a stance of confidence that Tyson immediately notices. The boy remarks that it looks like Sceptile has grown a lot since their last battle. Smiling, Ash says, "You have no idea. Me and Sceptile are a team now, and there's no way that we are going to lose." Smiling back, Tyson says, "Let's put that theory to a test," as he calls for a hyper beam from Donphan. However, Ash is quick to counter with a rock tomb that blocks the attack. Then, with Sceptile's speed, it is able to use the recharge opening to land a leaf blade and bring this battle to a close before it had even really gotten started. "See, I told you, Sceptile and I are one," Ash says. Recalling Donphan, Tyson has to admit that was impressive. The way Sceptile responded has the boy a little unsure about what he just saw. All the while, from the crowd, Morrison is watching a bit intimidated by the performance of these two trainers. They have been pushing themselves, and the redhead is worried if he is even halfway to the level that they are. But that is a point that he will have to address later as he watches the final moments of this battle open with Tyson calling on his Sceptile. "Well, Ash, let's see how one you are with Sceptile. I remember the day we first met. Pikachu was the Pokemon you battled me with, so I know that it was your first Pokemon. That's a bond you never truly share with any other one, and as far as I see it, your bond won't be as strong as ours. Now, Sceptile, use Leaf Blade." Ash is quick to counter with one of his own. The two seem even, but this is only at first, as it is clear Tyson was correct in his assumption in Ash and his grass type not being on the same level that they are for bonds or power when his starter is overtaken by the power of Tyson's. This lands it straight in the gut to Ash's Mon. While this is resisted by the typing, it still hurts as it forces Sceptile to take a knee. Ash calls it to make sure that Sceptile is okay. However, the gecko merely shakes off the pain as it isn't ready to throw in the towel just yet. Smiling, Tyson was hoping they wouldn't be done. His Sceptile hasn't had a real challenge in a while, so he wanted them to push them as far as they can go here. Smiling back, Ash tells Tyson that he and his Sceptile won't fall so quickly. This is only getting started. The two trainers then give a command to attack. What follows is a drawn-out battle with the two that shows just how close both trainers are to their Pokemon. Both Sceptile do their best to hold their ground. But as the battle draws out, it becomes clear that Tyson and his starter are ever so slightly ahead of Ash in every metric: speed, power, and ability. Ash's wood gecko is barely able to defend itself from the oncoming attacks. This causes Sceptile to begin to grow frustrated as it is having trouble keeping up with its counterpart in terms of speed. Ash can see this and tells it that they need to remain calm. There is still one thing that they have up their sleeve. Looking back at its trainer, Sceptile knows what Ash is talking about. Though it hasn't taken a lot of damage, Overgrow could be the answer that they need. However, its ability to call it on command isn't something that they have really worked on, and it's not like Tyson is going to give them the chance to work on it in real time. But Ash tells Sceptile to stop, calm itself, and focus on what they need to win. The last time it did this, they were able to unlock its true power. Doing as it's commanded, Sceptile freezes in place and pushes everything out of its mind, hearing only its thoughts and Ash. The two are becoming one, and the wood gecko can begin to feel it. The primal power that is locked deep within it. Overgrow is there. They just need to reach it. However, while Sceptile is trying to focus, it is being tested on the outside, as Tyson isn't letting this free opening go to waste. His grass type has begun attacking with a combination of Leaf Blade and super effective aerial aces. This results in the damage stacking up as Sceptile is consistently pushed back. However, this is what it needs to break the barrier to even the scales, as on the next condition of an aerial ace, it flares with the green overglow, and its eyes open, only to retaliate with a Leaf Blade so intense that it sends Sceptile into a nearby tree. "That's it," Ash smiles. "Now we're ready for the true battle." Looking back at his starter, Tyson asks if it's alright. The wood gecko stands up, though the Leaf Blade made its legs a bit wobbly. Things have definitely taken a turn in Ash's favor. Knowing this, Tyson thinks that they need to end this as soon as possible. However, Tyson may see a way to victory, though this this depends on just how much damage Ash's wood gecko has taken, but he's going to learn firsthand the power of Ash and Sceptile when Overgrow is activated, as all of the grass type's attributes are increased, now putting it on par with Tyson's starter as it lands another leaf blade that Tyson can't defend from. This makes the boy smile as he tells Ash that they are impressed. The power of Sceptile has in Overgrow is amazing. Ash comments that they have been working with it for a while, but truth is that they have not mastered it as of yet. With a chuckle, Tyson makes a revelation that his Sceptile is the exact opposite of Ash's. It has always had trouble accessing Overgrow. This has made it extremely hard for it to get to the level that it is currently at. As a result, they have been forced to find other ways to win battles. Ash isn't sure why Tyson is telling them this and questions it. The boy says it's simple. That is the reason why they are going to lose on the next attack. Ash says Tyson has to be seeing things. They have taken control. If his Sceptile can't access its Overgrow, then they have this battle won. This sentiment is seconded by our hero's grass type, but Tyson seems to be confident, even daring Ash to make the first move if he is so confident that victory is his. Fine, Ash says. Sceptile, let's end this. Use Leaf Blade. The wood gecko bursts down the battlefield, ready to bring this to an end as its Overgrow flares. However, Tyson simply waits, telling his mon to do the same. They need to time this just right. This causes Ash to think that they are up to something and orders Sceptile to use a quick attack to speed this up and end it. However, this is what Tyson was looking for, as he yells for a detect. Suddenly, his mon's eyes glow as it is able to track every movement of its opponent and dodge this final strike, leaving Sceptile fully open. Ash can do nothing but watch as his starter takes another aerial ace point blank that drives it into the ground and brings this battle to a close. Our hero is left a bit speechless as May, Max, and Brock watch on, unsure on how they should approach this. However, Ash is the one that breaks the silence as he pulls out the ball of Sceptile and recalls it. He wanted to yell, "That was a great battle!" This startles Tyson a bit as he wasn't expecting that type of reaction. Walking over, Ash tells the boy that he really thought they had that won. Overgrow was able to beat Norman in a battle to get me my final badge, so I figured it would work here too. Tyson states that he thought Ash had it, and truth is, if that move wouldn't have worked, then he would have gotten it for sure. Well, it looks like I have a lot more work to do before the Pokemon League next month, the boy says. Smiling, Tyson tells Ash that he feels the same way. This battle showed me that my Pokemon are nowhere near ready if we plan to win the league. However, Ash tells the boy that he's going to have to get in line, as it will be him and his Pokemon that take that win. Tyson tries to respond, but as Max, May, and Brock join the two, from within the crowd, a voice rings out that neither of them will be the winners of the Pokemon League because he is going to take victory at the tournament. The group turns, only to see Morrison standing there at the front of a now dispersing crowd. The redhead is fired up, demanding that Ash and Tyson have a full battle with him at this moment. He'll take both of them on at the same time to prove that he's better than them. However, the two are just standing there puzzled, not really sure on how to respond to this outburst of the boy. This is where Max casually mentions that they can't have a battle with the meathead, as they just finished one and all of their Pokemon are too tired to have another one. However, Morrison would probably still lose to their Pokemon in their current state. This causes the redhead to shift his attention temporarily to Max as they begin to argue. As this is going on, Tyson tells Ash that he's glad that they did this battle. It really showed him a lot about what he needs to work on for the league, to which Ash says the same thing. With only a month left, they have a lot of work to do in order to close any gaps in their training. Tyson then turns to leave, but gives Ash one last comment. The next time they meet will be at the Evergrande City Conference. He hopes that Ash will be ready because Tyson intends to be flawless. Smiling, Ash tells the boy not to worry. Their next battle will be far different from today's. Tyson then walks off as Morrison finally clues in on what is going on and yells for him to come back. They didn't have their battle. Ash simply turns to the redhead, stating that was never going to happen, only for Max to add insult to injury with another meathead comment. This causes another argument between the two as we fade to the night and our heroes are at the Pokemon Center after Ash gets all of his Pokemon looked at, and he makes a quick change to his team, swapping Flygon for Mawile so he can truly focus on the task ahead, the Hoenn Grand Festival. It is at this moment we find our heroes eating a meal after the long battle of the day. Morrison is here explaining what he has been up to since the last time that they saw him. Turns out he has 7 out of the 8 badges required to enter the league. The boy was actually passing through Slateport on his way back to face his grandfather for his final badge. It's here that Ash reveals all of the badges that he has, stating that Morrison better hurry. They only have a month left till the start of the league. The redhead states that he knows with frustration. He's been putting off this battle for as long as he possibly can. but he knows this is something that he can no longer do. Ash questions Morrison on why this is the case, now concerned about his rival slash friend. The boy states that after the battle Ash had with the old man Moore, and what his grandfather had said to him about being lazy as a trainer, the redhead wanted to show him that he could prove him wrong, but this whole time he's been secretly worried that his grandfather may be right. Ash tells Morrison that he needs to be more confident. He knows that he can win if he wants it badly enough. The redhead smiles, thanking Ash for the confidence, but today, after watching the battle that he had with Tyson, Morrison realizes that he's nowhere near close to what Ash or Tyson are, so it has him second-guessing himself. Ash states that he just needs to push past that fear. His grandfather is a powerful trainer. Ash barely won against him, but the one thing he seems to want more than anything is for his grandkids to do better than he ever was able to. So I'm sure that he will see how much you've grown. Besides, how will you know if you don't go? This causes Morrison to realize that what Ash is saying is right. The boy will head out at first light so that way he can show his grandfather just how much he has improved as a trainer. Ash seconds this, telling Morrison that once he gets his final badge, they will battle in the Hoenn League. Morrison smiles, telling Ash that he is going to hold him to that, then challenges the boy to an eating contest, which he refuses to lose to him, causing May, Max, and Brock to look on in a little bit of disgust. The next morning, the two rivals say their goodbyes before Morrison leaves town. Ash smiles, knowing that his rival will make it to the league, one way or another. But now it's time for him and May to focus. They have 6 days to prepare for the Grand Festival. While the two have spent the most of the last year training together, Ash and May equally come to the conclusion that they want to train separately, that way they don't have any ideas of the strategies that they will be using, just in case they get matched up against each other again. While they train, Max and Brock decide that they're going to continue doing what they do best and hit the Pokeblock scene. Just because Brock has perfected the Master Block doesn't mean that there isn't another out there that he can't learn about. While they are walking around town, Max and the breeder talk about everything that has happened. This is where Max apologizes to Brock. He's been nothing but nasty to him, and all Brock tried to do was help. The breeder has been a true friend to the boy, and Max couldn't see it. However, Brock states that it's no big deal. With all of his siblings, he is used to being not liked in certain points, especially when he needed to be the point of authority. Just remember what you have learned. That will guide you into the future by meeting new people. Max nods as they continue into the Slateport marketplace. This is where we flash over to Ash and May. Though the two have set up in different parts of the city for training, their goals are the same, to train as much as possible, though the ways they go about it are completely different. Ash focuses on Snorunt and Sceptile. They are the Pokemon that he knows need the most work, as they have the least amount of practice when it comes to combo attacks and just training in general. Snorunt in particular needs to work on its Ice Beam. It's weak and inconsistent at best, so Ash does everything he can to think of any type of help it can to bring out the power of the move, while Ash and Sceptile focus on bringing out its Overgrow. As of right now, it's only responding in one of two ways, either when emotions are high or it's taken enough damage. However, as a Trico, it demonstrated the ability to bring out the Overgrow at will. Ash just feels that with everything that has happened with Sceptile, it has forgot how to do this, so they will focus on meditation to find its center. While progress is slow, Ash is able to still make some with this training method, with even Brock stopping by from time to time to remind Ash of the Master Block. However, Ash tells the breeder that he doesn't want to use it just yet. Once he knows his Pokemon have reached their best, then he will consider it. But with the current state of things, he feels that it would only be a temporary fix to a problem that needs hard work. He doesn't want his Pokemon to grow complacent, as they both look over at all of them training with each other to prepare for the contest. Smiling, Brock says he understands, but he reminds Ash that they only need to take them once a day when he starts. Nodding, Ash tells the breeder to hold on to the block. Keep it safe until he decides that the time is right. This allows us to follow up with May. Her approach has been the exact opposite of Ash's. She started the block on day 1, and by day 3 was seeing results in the training with her and the Pokemon. The girl is super excited as she feels that her Pokemon will be unstoppable. They are in tip-top shape, and with the Master Block that Max and Brock made for her, they're going to win for sure. While her confidence is beginning to grow, May has a few visitors over this time, mainly Brock and Max, but this is only to check up on the progress of her Pokemon as they ingest the Miracle Block. But there is one that does catch May's eye, as her longtime rival Drew happens to come across her training one day. While the words are brief, Drew states that he hopes she is ready. They will battle in the festival, and he can feel it. He wants her to bring the best that she has. If she gives anything less, then she will be a disgrace to the Grand Festival. Smiling, May tells Drew that she could say the same for him. While he's been out observing, she's been out training this whole time, so she hopes he hasn't gotten rusty since his last contest win. "Don't worry about me," the boy says with a smile. "There's no chance that I will disappoint anyone." May simply smiles back, thinking that Drew has no idea the battle he will be in for. Both of our heroes continue this last-minute training until we get to the morning of the Grand Festival. It's here we find Ash and May standing on stage with a packed crowd, cheering for the festivities to begin. Among the crowd sits Max and Brock, both silently hoping that Ash and May are mentally and physically ready for the battles that will be heading their way. The Grand Festival will consist of 32 participants over the course of 5 days, and will be whittled down to the last person crowned a top coordinator. Among the competitors, we see familiar faces like Grace, Drew, Harley, and a lot of others. All of the people that Ash and May have had major encounters with over the last year have made their way to the final stage. While some have other motivations, they all have one goal: victory. It's here that the judges for the final tournament are introduced in Officer Jenny, Nurse Joy, and Mr. Contesta, the presidents of the Grand Festival. After some brief introductions, the contestants are set underway, and this day proves to be the longest out of all of them, as there are 32 people to get through, and these are only demonstration rounds. The people we see here that do very well are Drew, Robert, Grace, and the people that got Ash and May into the contest scene in the first place, Chaz and Janet. This leads to May and Ash being in the last 5 of the first day. Ash goes first, and the boy isn't playing around, using Mawile right off the bat. Its skills at showmanship and ability to pander to the crowd secures Ash a spot in the second day's rounds. This leads to May as she goes with a surprising yet very powerful choice in her Chimecho. This even catches Drew's attention. However, the boy is shown that May can back up what she said and she had told him the other day, as the psychic type uses its abilities to use wish and high-risk moves like Double Edge to perform very risky demonstrations in motions that could risk it all and end up knocking itself out or getting itself tied into a knot. But the movements of Chimecho are flawless as the wish activates with a Double Edge and wrap combo that shatters the star above it, causing a sparkle rain to blanket the stage. This leaves the crowd and Drew speechless as May takes a bow and exits with a smile. With May being the final demonstration of the day, the finalists for day 2 have been announced. Both Ash and May have secured their spots, as has Drew, Harley, and others. However, this was the easy part, as on day 2 is when the battles actually start. But as everyone dissipates, Harley approaches May, but she doesn't have time for his comments, merely blowing him off. However, in this moment, Harley yells for May to stop. He has something to say. Over the last year, they haven't been the best of friends, to which May states they were never friends. Harley just has something against her, and she never quite understood why. But this is where the man states what he's trying to get at. He just wants to say sorry. He saw that May has a hidden talent for contests, and he had gotten a little jealous, especially after Janet and Chaz had taken her under their wing to show her the ropes. He never had that when he started, and because they did that for her, he wasn't okay with it. But that demonstration with Chimecho just now shows him that May has been working very hard, possibly harder than Harley has. So if they are to battle, the only way he will feel right is if they can battle with all of the air clear. Harley wants May to bring her best, as he intends to. The cacturn-clad man then turns and walks off before May can say anything, stunned from what just happened. Ash then comes over to ask if everything is alright, but the girl simply smiles. "Things are fine," she says. "Now let's go get some food, as I'm starving," the girl yells as she runs off to find Brock and Max, with Ash yelling for her to wait up. Later that night, May is sitting outside of the center looking at the night sky. The excitement of the day is preventing her from sleeping, so she's just looking at the sky, enjoying being alone. However, this won't last long, as Drew happens across her. The two eyes meet as May asks if Drew can't sleep either, but the boy responds that he always walks during the night so he can replay the things from the past day in his head. It allows him to think clearer on what he needs to do for the next day. "That's pretty smart," May says. "So what did you think about my performance?" she asks. Drew simply looks at her. "There is a small group of people that I want to face in this contest. You are one of them. Your Pokemon are in top shape." This causes May to blush a bit, as she wasn't expecting Drew to be so nice or say such great things. But he's not finished, as he continues, stating that he wants to win this contest. There is nothing Drew wants more in the world. However, he only wants it if he can beat meet the list of people that he has interest in, or he feels it will be a hollow victory. But there is one caveat to this list. The people on it have to have a certain essence about them. Drew then states that May's Pokemon have that, but she is missing it. There is something that May needs to find out about herself, or she won't be able to beat Drew, and that will result in a hollow victory in his eyes. So he doesn't know what she needs to do, but before they battle, May needs to find what she is missing. He then walks off, leaving May confused about this statement. What am I missing? She thinks to herself. This leads us into day 2, and the final match of the day. May is scheduled for this one, as it's against none other than Harley. However, as they enter the stage, the man can see that May's attention isn't all there, almost like she is purposely ignoring him. This is shown in the battle when May uses Surskit against Harley's Jolteon. This looks bad on paper, even worse when you are having trouble hiding yourself in battle. This results in May losing points rapidly when Surskit takes a shockwave that nearly knocks it out. This causes Harley to yell at her. He can't believe that he apologized to her for the way that he had acted, only for her to completely blow him off in their battle. This finally gets her attention. Harley states that he doesn't know what is going on with her, but she needs to focus on what is going on here and now. The battle still has 3 minutes left, and May has already lost due to her lack of attention. These words force May to finally open her eyes as her friends are watching on from the stands, yelling for her to get her head into the game, while Drew smiles, thinking that this is where we will see if she can figure it out. May looks at Surskit, who is really hurts, and she is the reason. Max trusted her with it, and now she's behind in the battle, and in risk of all the work she's done is going down the drain. Harley then says something that catches her attention. He doesn't know where her head is, but he is her opponent, so she needs to focus on the here and now. Wait, that's what Drew was talking about, May thinks. She has to admit that she has a habit of not living in the moment. This is something that Ash is really good at, but she never really understood why. However, she thinks she is beginning to understand it. This causes a shift in the girl as she tells Harley that she is sorry. There was something on her mind, but he was able to remind her that this is where she needs to be, so he better get ready because she's coming for him. This causes the man to laugh as May is down to a quarter of her actual points with only 90 seconds left on the clock. He highly doubts that she can close that gap. However, May says she won't know unless she tries. The girl then goes on the attack, calling for a move that she has been working on in secret for the past couple of weeks. As Surskit now knows the move Blizzard, that it combines with a mist to form a liquid chill that forms over the battle area and freezes Jolteon in place. Harley is quick to counter using a shockwave to break free, but May is quick to use this to her advantage as a bubble beam catches the electric move in orbs of water that float around Jolteon and begin to explode around the evolution, causing a drop in Harley's points. It then reaches the final 10 seconds, to which Harley decides to go all out with the Shadow Ball Barrage, only to be countered by the Blizzard Mist combo from May. This results in a mild explosion, casting the area in a haze as the time hits 0. The crowd waits for the results, only for 2 shadows to emerge from the fog. Surskit is barely standing, while Jolteon has been knocked out, giving May the win and allowing her to move on to the next day. Recalling his mom, Harley simply smiles. Maybe I shouldn't have said anything, he thinks, but what can I do? This is what I wanted from her, as he watches May celebrate with Surskit. All the while, Drew looks on, seemingly pleased with the result of this battle. Now, with May's win, this closes out the battles of day 2, with both her and Ash moving on to the top 8. However, things are heating up as the next 3 days will be a double battle format. However, both Ash and May are ready for this as they look at each other. They know that they will need to battle eventually, and the closer they get to the finals, the more and more likely it will happen. Later that night, Ash is going over what Pokemon he is going to use the next day, as it will be a tag battle. Though it's a long shot, the boy thinks he knows the 2 that he will be using. They both need the practice anyway. While this is happening, May is outside with Max, telling the boy that she's sorry that Surskit got hurt. She sort of blanked out there for a moment and was unable to realize that she was losing because she couldn't focus on the moment. But ironically enough, Harley helped her realize that. Wait, Harley actually helped you? Max questions. As strange as it sounds, he did, May responds. Yeah, that is strange, Max says. The 2 then laugh as Harley sits behind a tree, simply smiling to himself, satisfied about his performance in the festival this year. While this is happening, Brock is sitting in the lobby of the Pokemon Center with his bag, while it carries his traveling supplies, there is one thing that the breeder needs to start doing. He then pulls out a stack of notebooks. This is all of the information that he has recorded on Pokéblock over the last year. The breeder now has to consolidate it into a paper that he can get published, so that way he can make his goal of sharing Pokéblock with everyone come true. This leads us into the next day, and the top 8 rounds are in full swing. Drew was able to win his tag battle format using a combination of his Absol and Roselia against Chaz, the trainer that taught Pikachu how to use Iron Tail. Following this was the battle with May, as she was paired against the coordinator that had got her start in the contest scene, Janet. The two seem to have developed a very similar lineup of Pokemon, as May uses her Beautifly and Munchlax against Janet's Beautifly and Slakoth. It is in this battle that we can see a difference in experience, as Janet is quick to overtake the early lead with her Pokemon, as Slakoth proves to be a problem for May. The girl knows that she should be able to battle with this thing as she grew up around them. She just needs to figure out how Beautifly falls into this. But then May sees it, as Janet has set it up as Slakoth being the main focus and Beautifly's wings beating at a faster pace than normal to provide cover, allowing it to move freely in the battle. This allows the girl to formulate a plan in her head, but it's going to take a bit of help from her opponent. This is when she has Munchlax use a Fire Punch that is able to cause some damage to both of Janet's Pokemon, more so to Beautifly due to the bug typing. This is then followed up with a Gust from May, trying to finish it off, but it's countered with a Blizzard from Slakoth, allowing them to survive the attack. Knowing they need some help, Janet calls for a Morning Sun to heal Beautifly, but this is what May was after, as she tells Beautifly to use a Gust on Munchlax that drives it into the air. This ends up costing May some points, but puts Munchlax right where she wants it to be, as it begins to use the solar energy that Beautifly is gathering for its own attack. Then, in a brilliant flash, the bottomless pit lets loose with a solar beam that engulfs both of Janet's Pokemon. Once the light fades, Beautifly is down while Slakoth is out. While there is still a little bit of time on the clock, Janet decides that it's in her best interest to forfeit, as Slakoth doesn't have the stamina to fend off 2 Pokemon. This moves May right into the top 4 with Drew, which causes the girl to scream in joy. Janet congratulates May, telling her that she has come a very long way since the Rustboro contest, so she should be proud. Smiling, May tells Janet that the only reason she became a coordinator was because of her, so she should be thanking Janet. The two then shake hands as the crowd cheer them off of the stage. However, this isn't the end of the day, as there are still 2 more battles. It's between Grace and Timmy. While Timmy proves that he has learned a lot, Grace is able to make quick work of the boy, securing her spot in the top 4, leaving just Ash and his opponent, the powerful Robert. It's here that we find their battle in full swing, as Ash is using Sceptile and Snorunt against Robert's Mischievous and Vileplume. Though things are not looking good for the boy, as Robert is very much a tactician when it comes to contests and will pick apart his opponents one by one, both Sceptile and Snorunt have been infected with a stun spore and are only able to move ever so slightly. It's in this moment that we see there are 60 seconds left on the clock, and Robert is ahead of Ash by a third, as the boy was able to take an early lead by having Snorunt fire an Icy Wind and Sceptile use a Rock Tomb. That was a pretty impressive combo that caught Robert off guard in the early part of their battle. But since then, Ash has been slowly losing points, and one of them was because of a failed Ice Beam that Snorunt still hadn't mastered, allowing Mischievous to land a Psy Wave on the Snow Hat for some serious damage. Robert feels pretty confident in his victory, as neither one of Ash's Pokemon have been able to move within the last couple of seconds. He tells Vileplume to charge a Petal Dance and Mischievous to use a Psy Wave to enhance the power to bring this battle to an end. Robert tells Ash that he was interested in seeing his choice of contest Pokemon. The fact that he was able to get this far is impressive, but next time he needs to bring 2 that are ready for anything and not still trying to figure out their true power. Knowing this will be their last dance, Ash calls for the 2, asking them to use a Leaf Blade and Icy Wind. Sceptile is able to find the strength to get in front of Snorunt and is able to use the blades to fend off the attack the best it can, but it is moving slowly thanks to the Stun Spore. This is when Ash calls for the Grass type to activate its Overgrowth, causing the Gecko to flare in a green aura. Now Sceptile, use Rock Tomb. The Wood Gecko pushes through the pain in order to break the Psychic Petal Dance. This causes the paralysis to kick back in and causing Sceptile to take a knee. Robert is intrigued by these turns of events, but there are only 30 seconds left on the clock. The only way Ash could win now is by a knockout, so he aims to make sure that that can't happen by calling for the same move as before, knowing that Sceptile won't be able to fend it off again. The blonde-haired man is right, as the Grass type ends up taking the brunt of the attack as Snorunt sits safely behind it. The Snow Hat is unable to really do anything. Both of those Pokemon are far more powerful than it, but but the Mon can hear Ash calling to it. He believes Snorunt can do it, push through the pain. All of their training has led to this point. If it doesn't, then they will lose this battle. Hearing Ash's conviction and feeling the strength of Sceptile as it does all it can to defend it, something snaps in Snorunt, causing the ice type to glow in an evolutionary light. From within it bursts the newly evolved Glalie, with the full power ice beam that is able to counter the assault of Robert's Pokemon. Wow, Ash yells, look at that power. Glalie, you did it! However, this moment of celebration is going to come to an end as the clock runs out and the timer rings. The battle is over, and Robert is declared the winner, as he still has about half of a bar to Ash's 8th. While this moment is bittersweet for the boy, Ash knows that they gave it all he had. Sceptile and Glalie did too. While it may not have had the best results like Robert pointed out, it was a moment of growth for his two Pokemon, which is what Ash was ultimately going for. So he smiles as he knows his time in the Grand Festival has come to an end, but that doesn't mean that his adventures in the region have. And now Ash can cheer on May as she still has her top 4 battles to look forward to. With the top 4 now secured, we move on to later that night as May and Ash are sitting outside on the rock that May has become very fond of over the last couple of days. The girl is feeling the pressure now that Ash is out of the festival. She was really hoping that it would be them in the finals. However, the boy tells her not to worry. The Grand Festival was always a means to an end. May pointed that out a long time ago, that contests are her thing, while the gyms and Pokemon Leagues was his. He was only ever using the Grand Festival to train until they got to the Evergrande Conference. He went as far as he could go, so it's May's turn now. She needs to get the win. No matter what happened to Ash, he will be here to cheer her on the whole way. Now she needs to focus on tomorrow, as it will be a new day with all new challenges. Smiling, May knows this all too well as she looks out over the night sky. This leads us into day 5 of the festival, with Robert having secured his spot in the finals after his Primeape and Chansey proved to be too much against Grace and her Medicham and Shedinja. It is at this moment that we see both May and Drew on stage as their battle is now in full swing. May is holding nothing back as she is giving Drew the battle that he wanted, which is something that May hadn't figured out until this point, as Drew wanted every round that he faced to be like it was the finals of the tournament. The boy had battled each and every day, leaving nothing left in the end with each of his Pokemon, and he wanted his opponents to do the same. This passion is what drives Drew, and is on full display here for everyone to see. Even Ash is beginning to understand why Drew had such a problem with him in the beginning. Out of respect for Drew, May shows this in her Pokemon choices, as both Blaziken and Seviper were her choices for the battle, while Drew is using 2 Pokemon that he's been saving till this moment, in Flygon and a Hitmonlee. The battle drags on, with neither side gaining any real ground, as they trade blow for blow to decrease each other's points, but staying dead even each time. This continues on as the crowd remains silent, awaiting the next command of the coordinators. It gets to the point that May knows that they need to do something to change the status quo, so she decides to try something a little crazy, calling for Seviper to coil up for a rollout. Seeing this coming their way, Drew tells Hitmonlee to use its feet to absorb the attack, but what follows is something the boy would have never seen coming, as May orders Blaziken to use a Blaze Kick on Seviper and send it rolling down the battlefield encased in flames. This ends up being too much for either the Serpent or the Kicker to handle, as they are both knocked out upon collision just as the timer strikes 0. However, upon review of the points, it's found that both May and Drew are still dead even, something that has never happened in the Grand Festival before. This results in the judges declaring something called sudden death. The first one to lose points will be the loser of this battle. This leaves May and Drew in a state of disbelief. The two have been so involved with the battle that neither one actually noticed the points. So, with Flygon and Blaziken now at their limits, the battle begins. While Flygon takes to the air, Blaziken's ability to jump makes this an even fight, as once again they both find themselves at a deadlock, unable to break the other. Both May and Drew know that they have to do something or the other will find a way to win this. However, as if fate was smiling on May, the long drawn out battle activates Blaziken's Blaze ability, allowing it to increase the fire type moves that it can use. This puts Drew on edge as he knows victory is slowly slipping away. May can see that this is her last chance, so she orders Blaziken on the attack with an overheat. However, Flygon takes to the air to avoid being hit, and both Pokemon dodge any damage. But they both know that this battle is coming to a close, as both of their Pokemon are worn out. With one last move, both trainers command a sandstorm and overheat. The two moves are so intense that it causes a fire tornado to envelop the stage, with both trainers shielding their faces from the heat. But as the attack subsides, Ash witnesses a situation that he found himself in the prior year, as both Flygon and Blaziken are both down. The two are struggling to use the last of their strength to stand up. Ash and the others cheer for Blaziken. They know it can do it, while the rest of the audience watches on in suspense. However, both Pokemon are able to get to their feet. With the points still dead even, the battle is forced to continue. May orders a Blaze Kick, but as her starter steps forward, its vision goes blurry, and it takes a knee, leaving it wide open. The girl pleads with the fire type to stand up. However, it's unable to, and Dre takes full advantage of this opening, ordering Flygon in with a feint attack. The dragon takes flight to strike down its opponent. Blaziken can do nothing but watch his opponent through one eye as the distance between the two closes. Then they hear it, a thud, as the sound of victory rings throughout the arena. Both May and Drew look on in pure disbelief at what just happened, as it is revealed that Blaziken is still on its knee as Flygon has collapsed under its own weight with spirals in its eyes. This ushers in a cheer as May is declared the winner of the battle, and she will be moving on to the finals. The girl stands there in a stunned silence. I won, she thinks, but she is brought back when Blaziken finally falls from its injuries, causing her to rush out and check on it. This is when Drew walks out to recall his dragon and offers a handshake to May. I said I would only consider it a win if I battled you and you gave me everything. I was the one who asked for that, so you have earned this win. A smile appears on May's face as Drew turns, but before he departs, the boy tells May that just because it's not them in the finals doesn't mean that she can't fight any less than she did today. If she brings the same passion, then she has a chance to win it all. The boy then leaves as May is left to process her win, with everybody in the crowd cheering her on. This was the best battle of the festival, they all chant. Only one more to go, the girl thinks to herself as she looks up to her friends, while from the crowd, Robert watches, curious about his final opponent. Later that night, May and the rest of her heroes are eating when she sees Drew leaving the Pokemon Center. Wanting to talk to him, she excuses herself for a moment and runs over, but the girl is surprised at what she sees, as Drew is all packed up like he is leaving for good. May asks about this, to which the boy states that he lost, so there's no reason for him to stay around here. He's off to start another journey. Wondering where this will take him, May questions Drew about this new journey. The boy states that Kanto has started up a Grand Festival tournament, and he intends to compete in it. Who knows? Maybe once May is done here, she can come out there to compete against him once again. He could use a tough opponent. Smiling, the girl says that she likes the idea of that, as she would love for a chance to kick his butt all over again. With a smirk, Drew tells May not to get too cocky. The next time they battle, the results will be very different. The boy then flips his hair and tells May that he will see her around before walking out of the center. The girl looks on, thinking that she will handle tomorrow's battle the same way that she handled this one. Ash then joins May, asking if everything's alright. She simply nods, as she has a battle to prepare for, and the night fades on into the next morning. It is here we find ourselves on the final day of the Grand Festival, and in the final moments of the battle with May and Robert. The girl has done what she promised Drew, and brought the same passion that she had to this battle, using her Beautifly and Surskit against Robert's Milotic and Claydol. As a result, May has pushed the man further than even Ash could in their battle, with their points being nearly even, though Robert does possess a slight lead on May. However, unlike Drew the day before, Robert didn't share the same sentiment in this battle and has slowly been playing the long game. His careful planning in this battle has brought it into the final 30 seconds. May does her best to push through with the Blizzard Gust combo, but it is quickly thrown to the side by a Hydro Pump Hyper Beam combo. That is too much for her bugs to fend off, resulting in a knockout just as the clock hits 0. The girl is left stunned. After all of her work, she was unable to win it in the end. After battling Drew, May had convinced herself that she could really win if she battled the same way again, but it was all for nothing. However, Robert approaches the girl to offer her his thanks for a great battle. The now champion of the festival explains that she was the first coordinator to offer a real challenge to him at any point in this season. All of the other contestants were no challenge at all, and he was beginning to think that becoming a coordinator was a mistake, as he should have just challenged the league. But she showed him that there are great coordinators out there, making this whole experience worth the time that he had put in. May simply smiles, thanking Robert for one final lesson she needed to learn, before turning and walking walking off to join her friends as Robert is left there unsure of this lesson she speaks of. However, May knows that she needed to lose this to teach her humility, something that she wouldn't have had if she would have won. So with the Grand Festival in Hoenn now behind them, May and the rest of her friends turn their sights to the final road of their adventures together, the Evergrande Conference. And this is where we're going to leave things for now. So tell me, how did you feel about this part? What did you think about the battle between Ash and Tyson? How about the Grand Festival and how it played out with Ash's evolution in Glalie? What about May's win over Drew and making it all the way to the finals? Do you think she should have won, or is second place good enough for now? And lastly, are you excited as we are about to enter the final stretch, as in the next part we enter the Evergrande Conference? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.